I'm not bitter. I want you to understand that. After all, I'm in heaven now. You didn't know there was a heaven for cows, huh? Well, there is. Acres and acres of pasture land. No barbed wire or electric fences. Plenty of flowing streams. Plenty of trees to give you shade. No biting flies. And best of all, no butchers. Now I know I'm speaking to a room full of butchers. But let me tell you something. Every cow knows this truth. You get a family of butchers, and there's going to be problems. Well, you take a particular family of butchers I live with on earth. A father and 2 sons. Weird? Let me tell you about weird. Brace yourself, dysfunctional family stories are coming. Take the younger boy. Please take him. Airhead? What are you talking about? If the door said clearly, push to open, he'd be pulling with all his might. He didn't have sense enough to come in out of the rain. Now, the rain doesn't bother a cow, let me tell you, but I worried about that young butcher boy, snowflake that he was, that he might melt like MacArthur Park if he got wet. Truth is, he wasn't just foolish. Foolish people can still be endearing. He was a jerk. He only thought about himself, his plans, his ideas, what he needed, what he wanted. Why, many days when he was supposed to be feeding us, he'd stand out there by the pasture fence yakking away on his cell phone. I heard what he said. I've got a notion there's a whole lot more to life than this dump I'm living, he said. I'm not going to stick around here and be the younger son all my life. I'm headed for the big time, the big lights. I'm headed for some uptown funk with my chucks on and my St. Laurent. I'll be smoother than a fresh jar of Skippy. I'll kiss myself, I'll be so pretty. I'll be so hot I'll make the dragon want to retire. You don't believe me, you just watch. You don't believe me, you just watch. Now, I was watching all right, and I knew this was one more night when we cows wouldn't get any dinner. Out of all the chores on the farm, he had but one: feed us dinner. He didn't care enough about us half the time to do it. He didn't care about us, or his butcher father, or his butcher brother. Now you tell me, how's a fatted calf supposed to get fat if you can't have dinner? He yacked on that phone about the big time. I said to Bessie beside me, he's talking about hot. Let him come a little closer over here, and I'm going to lean up against him against that 10,000-volt electric fence. We'll see some uptown funk all right. You ever met anybody like him? Chances are, if you did, when you got in the car afterward, the first thing you said was, all I know is, I'm glad he's not my kid. Just when I thought I'd seen it all, there came the day when the daddy butcher hammered a for sale sign in front of the prettiest pasture land on the whole farm. Turns out that the young butcher had given his daddy an ultimatum. Give me what I've got coming to me when you die. Just give it to me now, and give it to me in cash. Who ever heard of such a thing? Well, I told you, this was a weird family. You know what that fool father did? He did exactly what the young boy told him. And because all his cash was tied up in farm, he had to sell the prettiest piece. The piece he'd gotten from his daddy, who had gotten it from his daddy. And I don't know how many daddies back. Why, that sign wasn't hardly up before it was down. It was pretty lame. I heard the man who bought it turn to his wife, looking at the pasture, and said, you know what the rabbis say, don't you? There's 3 kinds of men who cry out, but get no answer. He who has money and lends it without witnesses. He who acquires a master. And he who transfers his property to his children during his lifetime. I could hear the people as they rode past the farm, slowed down, shook their head. "Oh, fool, the man's gone crazy," they said. I just figured it meant that the apple hadn't fallen far from the tree. Like father, like son, both of them fools. And then, just like that, there was one less fool around the farm. Off that fool went, yakking on his phone, smelling like Tom Ford cologne and new money. As far as I can tell, he didn't even tell his daddy and his brother goodbye. He didn't tell us goodbye. That didn't bother me. I thought it was good riddance. Maybe I said to Bessie, "We'll get dinner now regularly." Little did I know what I was fattening myself up for. I thought that old man Butcher would be happy with trouble gone at last. Why, even half your farm didn't seem too high a price to pay for just a little bit of peace. I told you, butchers are weird. This particular lot, really weird. Do you know that after all that boy had done and undone, his father kept his picture in there on the piano in the living room? I could see it through the farmhouse window. I could see the old man in that window most every night after the sun had packed its bags and disappeared and the day turned to lonely night. I'd see him looking out, looking but not looking, there but not there. I knew full well what was on his mind. It was that rascal who had disappeared over the horizon just like the sun. Well, I said to Bessie, "Poor old man, that boy's never coming back. But if and he does, he better come back richer than Warren Buffett and more generous than Bill Gates. He better be giving apology gifts to his father and his brother and everybody in this county who had to put up with him, including us." Well, there came a day when I ate those words like the cud. Back down the road came the young butcher boy. But he was different somehow. The spring was out of his step. The shining was worn off his life. He was barefooted, and understand only butcher slaves go barefooted. No chucks on his feet now, just dirt. Why, his skinny waist barely held up his ragged pants. He had no shirt on. His leathery face was burnt like he'd fallen asleep in the tanning bed. He was hotter than a dragon, all right. Gone and burned up his money and burned up himself. Well, kiss a pig, I said to Bessie. Look who's come home. I sniffed his trail as he wobbled past. I said to Bessie, "That's not Tom Ford I smell. I do believe I detect the stench of porcine perfume." Turns out he'd been wallowing with them, hunting for a few pods or whatever it is those dumb animals pigs eat. They eat everything. Bessie sort of smiled, proud-like, and said, "No shirt, no shoes, no service." We chuckled, and then we caught sight of something moving, jerky-like a broken machine. And we saw it wasn't something, it was somebody. I'd be doggone, it was the old man Butcher. And he was running the way an old man runs when he hasn't run in a long time, and his body's forgotten how. You have to understand something. In butcher culture, only women folk and slaves and children run. The men folk move slow, with purpose, dignity, and power. I told you this old man was weird. He was running like a girl. I half thought he was running out to tell that boy, "You stop right there, you do a 180, and you get your skinny woo-hoo right back to where you came from." Oh, I knew better, though. I knew this old man. No, he wrapped himself all over that boy like a swaddling baby blanket. Like that child had never caused him even a twinge of pain in his backside. Like he was a newborn in a bassinet. He bathed that child with tears. And the next sound you hear is the sound of the old man fish being reeled in. I said to Bessie, that boy's not home because he's sorry. He's home because he's hungry. I said, you watch now. Next will come the speech. As usual, I was right. I know you old butchers pretty good. The boy said, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. All I ask is that you give me a job and treat me as a hired servant. Well, I thought the speech sounded well rehearsed, if you know what I mean. But Bessie says she thought he meant it. I don't know. But as for me, it all became quite a blur because of what the old man said next. Quick, he said, bring my robe, bring my signet ring, bring my chucks, put them on his feet, and let's kill the fatted calf because we're going to have a big party. You can understand why everything after that is kind of a blur for me. Fact is, I had to hear about it all secondhand when I got up here where, praise the Lord, there aren't any more butchers. Turns out, everybody in the county came to the party he threw. I hear it was quite a party. But when they got there, they were not in the party mood. They knew what had happened. They knew what this boy had done, and they weren't happy about it. To Jewish butchers, you see, there's nothing worse than to lose your land and to lose your money and to lose your property, except to lose it to a Gentile. That's the worst. They knew this boy had lost his fortune to the Romans, for heaven's sake, and to pig owners to boot. You know, Jews have a special ceremony for everything, and they had a special ceremony just for this. It's called Kesasa. Here's what you did in Kesasa. You took a clay jar, and you filled it up with burned nuts, burned so they would stink, and burned corn, burned so that it would smell. And you mixed the smelly nuts and the smelly corn, and you filled the jar all the way to the brim. And then everybody would gather in front of the loser, and they'd break the jar at his feet, shout his name out loud, and proclaim him forever cut off from the people. They'd come ready for a kesatsa. It sounds a whole lot better to me than killing the fatted calf. But when they showed up with the jar, the old man said, oh, no. Give me that jar. There'll be no kesatsa. This is my boy. This is my son. And we're going to have a party because he was dead. And you can see he's very much alive. He was lost, but now he's come home. Well, I hear it was a party after all. That's the way you butchers are. Once you drink a little fermented corn, even pigs look pretty to you. Well, all this talking without chewing the cud has made me a little hungry. I think I'm going to go find some fresh hay. Here's the nice thing. I can eat and eat and eat now and not gain a single pound. I told you cow heaven is a wonderful place. Oh, I know. I haven't said anything at all about that other son. And I know some of you are hoping I won't say anything and it'll just stop right here. But the truth is, really, there's not much to say about that other boy. If his younger brother was always wrong, he thought he was always right. And I'm here to tell you, there's nothing worse than a butcher who thinks he's always right and is always looking around to see how everybody else is wrong. For that boy, being right was more important than anybody or anything, which meant he was an insufferable bore. No joy about his life at all. You know the great irony of this story? These two boys, one ran away, one stayed home, but they were both lost. The one who ran away but came home, he asked to be treated not as a son, but a hired servant. The one who never left home, he was a son and everything was his, but he never realized it. He spent his life living like he was the hired servant, counting up his hours of service, counting up the money he got, counting up everything he deserved and didn't get, counting up everything everybody else got. Of course, you know he refused to come into the party. That's just one more humiliation for the old man butcher. And once again, the poor old fish went out there and begged, please, pretty please, come into the party. I'll tell you what I'd have done. Well, I'd gone right out there and gotten in that boy's face and said, listen, what happened in the far country is not important. It doesn't matter. What matters is that your brother has died to all that, and he's alive again, whereas you have hardly been alive since the day you were born. All these people here at the party, you see them? They were dead. They're alive again. Look at them. They're having the time of their life. You, on the other hand, you're alive and you're miserable. And worse yet, you're standing here in the yard because you think you're better than everybody else. You don't realize you look like some kind of beggar who won't join in because you don't belong. Why can't you see it, son? You own this place. And the only reason you're not enjoying it is you refuse to be dead to your dumb rules about how it should be enjoyed. So do yourself a favor, boy. Do everybody else a favor. Drop dead to your dumb rules. Shut up about what you deserve in your life. Go inside and pour yourself a drink and loosen up a little bit. I can't tell you if the older butcher boy came in or not. But I can tell you this, he's going to be miserable when he gets to heaven if he doesn't heed his daddy's advice. Because over on the butcher side of heaven, from which we cows are protected, thank you God, there's always a party. I can hear it going on, and I hear tell that there's a man at the gate who bears the spitting image of the old man butcher. And every boy or girl, man or woman who comes to the gate, he says the same. I know you. You're mine. Come on in. Once you was dead, and now look at you. Once you was lost, but now you've come home. So you see, butcher heaven is full of fools just like you. Older brothers and sisters, younger brothers and sisters, all alike. All I can say is I'm glad there's a wall between us and you butchers. I cannot for the life of me figure out what the Master sees in me. I guess it must have something to do with amazing grace.